Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The behavior behind the behavior. You're listening to the Sacred Man Experience podcast and welcome. One of the most important and most significant lessons I've learned in recovery work is this: never judge a behavior until you understand its purpose and meaning. Few people investigate why they do it, the behavior. A man loses his temper, someone drinks excessively, someone procrastinates, someone lies, someone withdraws. The visible behavior becomes the focus, but behavior is often a messenger. It is trying to tell us something. Psychologists understand that behaviors usually serve a particular function. Some behaviors seek safety, others seek certainty. There's behaviors, right, which seek connection. There's behaviors and patterns of behaviors that seek significance. So as you can see, behaviors have different outcomes. The behavior itself may be unhealthy. The underlying need is usually legitimate. That's interesting. For example, a person who constantly seeks validation may actually be seeking worth. That's interesting. A person who controls everything may be seeking safety. A person who avoids responsibility may be trying to avoid failure. Now, this is important because many a time we tend to judge a human individual because of the apparent presentation of a particular behavior. Even though the behavior itself, like I said, might be negative, but its origins may be something else. Its meaning for purpose and validation and meaning might be different, but they are presenting themselves in a negative way. Now, when we understand the need, we can begin creating a healthier solution. Islamic scholars often described self-awareness as a pathway to wisdom. Man arafa nafsahu. You know, it's a very famous saying and tradition of the Arabs, which say, Man arafa nafsahu, whosoever knows himself, knows his Lord. The deeper you understand your inner world, the harder it becomes to deceive yourself. In other words, the more deeper you dive into your reality, the less possibility is that you will deceive yourself because you get to know your reality, whatever that is. It's not coming from a place of being an imposter or masking your reality, but it's genuinely removing that and saying, what am I in reality? The great polymath Imam al-Ghazali, may Allah be pleased with him, encouraged rigorous self-examination, not to create guilt. No, that's not the intention of self-examination. To create insight. The sacred man does not simply ask, what am I doing? No. What does he do? He asks, why am I doing it? Because transformation begins with understanding. This is significant. If you want to create change, right? If you want to transform and you want to become the better version of yourself and you want to remove these negative behaviors, it starts with greater understanding and awareness. Let me give you something practical. How to do this, how to implement this, and hopefully you can put this into your daily routine. Choose one reoccurring behavior. Just choose it, whatever that is, right? It might be something very minor. You are biting your nails, for example. It's a very minor behavior. Okay. Ask. Number two, ask what need is it trying to meet? Why is it that you are biting your nails? Is it when you get anxious? You get worried? What is it? What's the reason behind that? Okay. So what is this? What need is this trying to achieve? And thirdly, find a healthy way to meet that need. How are you going to do that? Now, these steps are significant. Of course, the moment you start to, and especially those behaviors that have become a significant part of your daily routine, you may need a little bit more help and support. And that's what's very important. Sometimes there are certain things you can change within yourself, at least highlighting and reflecting and understanding where the problem is coming from. But it might not get you to the solution. This is why it is important that if you start to understand what is really going on, right? What is this behavior trying to deal with, which is inside me? Why is it that I desire validation all the time? Why is it? What's the reason behind it? Who am I really looking for? Whose attention do I really want? And whose validation am I really seeking? Something to think about. Why is it that I'm avoiding very significant and important realities of myself? Why is it? Do I have shame in my behavior? Is it something that I have done and buried it inside so deep within myself that I'm not ready to talk or discuss about it anymore? But guess what? It's coming out in a negative way, in a false way, in a manner which is hurting you. Now, I want you to think about this tonight. What behavior is in your life, is trying to tell you something about yourself? Look, within Jungian psychology, it's very interesting this. The collective unconscious, okay, it holds many, many significant answers and knowledge. But we have to tap into that. We have to tap into the collective unconscious. We have to tap into this resource of support and help that has been in our religious context, God Almighty has given to us. Allah has given to us. But if we're not going to tap into it, if we are not going to go into that resource, then one will be always stuck in that pattern of negative behavior. Think about that. Thank you for listening. Until next time, stay aware, stay honest, and continue becoming the man and woman you were created to be. Find your sacred.